She's not only an educator at KIPP Tulsa, but also the founder of Raise the Bar Investments, which aims to help especially those in minority groups become financially literate. I think you'll find Raquel Wilson has some great advice for us this morning. Good morning, Raquel.
Good morning, Dave. Thanks for having me.
So I know you're teaching at KIPP today, so we're going to get right into it so you can get back to class. Back in March, News on 6 introduced viewers to you and what you do. I was just so impacted by that. And how do you balance it, being an educator and then being a certified financial education instructor?
Well, it's a lot, but thankfully this business was built in the classroom as I saw the financial troubles my students and my families were facing. But thankfully, because I'm passionate about education, there is a lot of overlap. So it is a little effortless at sometimes, but it's definitely worth it.
You know, you have a lot of baseline strategies that you sent me in an email, and I just wanted to talk about them. The first one, getting out of debt. Let's just start with the basics. What are some of your strategies for getting out of debt to folks who just may not know where to start?
Well, a lot of folks, especially growing up myself, I thought that I could save my way out of debt. My parents always told me, put your money in the bank, maybe even put it under a mattress if you need to, but you can't save your way out of debt. You have to invest, and investing with a strategy matters. When I was able to pay off my student loans from Ohio State in under 2 years, I had to go in with a strategy. I had to know what asset I was going to go in with, and I had to know what percentage return on investment I needed. So strategy is super, super key.
The next point, how do we budget more out of our paycheck? Explain what that means.
Oh my goodness, budgeting is so important, but oftentimes we hate that word. It really just comes down to knowing where your money flows so you can make more of your money flow. I talk a lot about this in our first book, Holistic Money Mindset, Mental Preparation for Abundance. So you can really know who you are at the core, and you can spend and invest based on your personal values.
If we're new to investing, where do we begin? Because for some folks, you know, they've never invested before in their life, and it's like, what do I invest in?
Yes, there are so many things out there, from crypto to real estate to the stock market. And I would say that it does matter to just get started. You can start with index funds. You can start with dollar cost averaging, which is basically investing a small amount every week or 2 weeks. So you don't really have to worry about all the complexities. But there are so many great levels to this, so you can really just get started and continue to add to what you're already doing.
Real quick, I want to go into dollar cost averaging. That sounds like a big word for something that is relatively simple.
Yes. And honestly, when it comes to financial literacy, unfortunately, since it's not taught in schools, we have to actually educate ourselves. And that's really what we're doing in our second book, Personal Finance Crash Course. Literally have a whole chapter called Words of Wealth that defines things like dollar cost averaging, return on investment, compound investing, and all of those key terms that we don't really know, but we need to know to make a change for our last name. So dollar cost averaging is super, super key, and I go more about it in our books and in our sessions.
Saving for retirement. You have a nice mantra, just kind of like a one-liner that we can all remember about paying ourselves.
Yes, pay yourself first. Every time. It's super important to make sure you're paying your future self, because your future self will thank you. And this includes employers. You know, for those employers, how are you investing in your employees? This is something that Raise the Bar does. We engage with corporations and organizations through workshops, keynotes, conferences, so their teams and employees can actually have that financial knowledge and well-being. And it's a positive feedback loop between employees and employers and teams and organizations, so we can really impact our community on the long term.
Something else that you've talked about that really caught my eye was healing financial trauma. What do you mean by that?
Yes, so when it comes to trauma, it's coming down to things that have harmed us before that we haven't healed from, especially minorities. Whether you are a woman or a brown person or a black person, you might have even generational trauma when it comes to money and wealth building that you have to heal. I even had to go through healing as I've gone through my own home pre-approval process. So if you realize that you're having thoughts of scarcity, or like you don't deserve wealth, or you don't think that people that have money are good or bad people, or you make judgments based off of money, maybe you might want to look into working with a licensed psychologist and really healing those inner traumas that you might have, so you can really unlock what is meant for you when it comes to wealth building.
If folks want to learn more about you, how do they contact you and your company?
Yes, well, we are Raise the Bar Investments. You can find us online at www.rtbinvestments.org. That's investments with an S. And you can also reach out to us via email at info@rtbinvestments.org. Thanks so much, Dave.
Raquel, thank you so much, and good luck in class today and helping the next generation out. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Happy to empower.